Today, we are looking at a file that is honestly smaller than like a single meme saved on your phone.
Oh yeah, way smaller.
Right. To be exact, it is 34.7 kilobytes.
Which is just wild to think about.
It really is. Yet this tiny minuscule text file is designed to fundamentally rewire how your brain stores information.
Right, and it's doing that while simultaneously trying to replace software subscriptions that cost people, hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we are looking into a highly specialized digital architecture created by Roca Capital. It's called the AI Research OS for Obsidian.
The contrast there is really what makes this so fascinating to me. I mean, we're just so used to the idea that professional-grade software requires this massive footprint, right?
Oh, for sure. Like gigabytes of installation space.
Gigabytes of space, persistent cloud connections, and of course the endless toll road of a monthly SaaS fee.
The subscription fatigue is so real right now.
It's exhausting. So to claim that a 34 kilobyte installation can just transform a standard empty text editor into this intelligent research environment, well, that's a massive architectural promise.
It's a huge promise, and that structural advantage is really the core mission of our deep dive today.
Yeah, we need to see how it actually pulls that off.
Right, because we are looking at a system built for an audience that probably already understands the stakes of personal knowledge management, or PKM as people call it.
Yeah, if you're listening, you likely already know that specific pain of a fragmented digital life.
Oh, absolutely. Like you probably have a sprawling Obsidian vault or, maybe Notion databases you spent literal weeks building.
And then haven't updated in 6 months.
Exactly. You have bookmarks scattered across 3 different browsers, Apple Notes, just full of contextless URLs.
Just random links with no explanation.
Right. And like PDFs buried in a desktop folder called To Read 2025 that you are never, ever going to open.
Never. The reality is that most knowledge workers are operating in a state of continuous triage.
Ooh, triage. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, because you're constantly capturing data, but you're never actually synthesizing it. You're just stopping the bleeding.
Right, you're just grabbing things before you forget them.
Exactly. And Roca Capital's claim is that this 34 kilobyte injection takes that exact chaotic state, what they call scattered information, and it mechanically forces it into structured knowledge.
Which is the dream, right?
It is. And the crazy part is they do it by completely bypassing the subscription model.
Yeah, this is a huge subconscious promotion element for them, honestly. You purchase this entire architecture for a one-time fee of $27.
Just $27. Which, if you view it strictly as a market data point, is like a really aggressive counter-positioning.
How so? Like against the big tech companies?
Yeah, because they aren't selling you a cloud service where you essentially rent access to your own thoughts.
Wow, rent access to your own thoughts. That is so accurate for a lot of these apps.
It is. Instead, they're selling you a blueprint. It's a set of structural schematics that you permanently install onto your local machine.
You own it forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to understand how a tiny file actually executes on that promise, we kind of have to look at the philosophical foundation of the system.
Right, because it's not just a plugin, it's a whole shift in how you think. The documentation talks a lot about this shift from simply taking notes to operating a workflow system.
Yeah, and that distinction is huge. The target demographic here, so researchers, content creators, deep thinkers, they usually fail at personal knowledge management because they treat their system like a junk drawer.
Oh, yeah, the classic digital junk drawer.
Right. They have a really robust capture phase. I mean, they are brilliant at clipping articles.
I am so guilty of this.
We all are?
Uh-huh.
But they lack a mechanical processing and synthesis phase.
I always think of standard PKM systems as like a massive, messy garage.
The garage. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, like you back the truck up, you open the door, and you just start throwing boxes of potentially cool stuff inside.
Just hurling them into the dark.
Exactly. A research paper on quantum computing goes in the back corner. A recipe for sourdough bread goes near the door. Your, novel outlines are stacked on top of old tax returns.
Sounds like a nightmare.
It is. And the tragedy is, a year later, when you actually need that quantum computing paper to write an essay, you're standing in this pitch-black garage with a flashlight.
Tripping over the sourdough recipe.
Tripping over the sourdough, completely overwhelmed by your own digital hoarding.
That garage analogy is actually highly accurate because it highlights this illusion of productivity.
Oh, yeah. Capturing feels like working.
Exactly. It releases dopamine, but it isn't actual work. A workflow system, which is the foundational promise of this AI Research OS, It dictates that you don't just throw boxes into the void.
You need a system for the boxes.
Right. You implement a receiving bay, you establish an unpacking station, and most importantly, you define the architecture of the shelves before the boxes ever arrive.
Okay, but I have to challenge this premise right here because this goes against a very popular philosophy in the note-taking community.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this. The organic linking crowd.
Yeah. The whole ethos of Obsidian, heavily popularized by concepts like Nick Milo's linking your thinking, is that structure should emerge organically.
The bottom-up approach.
Right, bottom up. You just write, you link ideas naturally using brackets, and the structure is supposed to reveal itself over time.
In theory, yes.
So by forcing a highly rigid, predefined workflow system onto the user, I mean, aren't we just reverting to the top-down corporate folder structures we all tried to escape from in the first place? Like, doesn't this just create an administrative burden?
That is a critical pushback. It really is.
Yeah.
But it highlights a common misunderstanding of how metadata actually functions in a modern Markdown environment.
Okay, unpack that for me.
So pure bottom-up emergence is a beautiful theory. It sounds great on paper, but in practice, for like 90% of users, it degrades straight back into the messy garage.
Because there's no guardrails.
Exactly. When you rely solely on organic linking, you eventually hit a critical mass where your graph view just looks like a hairball.
Oh my gosh, the hairball.
Yes.
It looks cool, but it's useless.
Totally useless. You can't find actionable data.
Because organic linking still requires you to remember the context of the link in the first place.
Correct. You have to remember why you connected them. On the other hand, traditional top-down folders, the corporate way they cause what's known as folder fatigue.
Folder fatigue.
Yeah. Every single time you save an article, you force your brain to make this rigid exclusionary decision.
Like, does this go in folder A or folder B?
Right. Does an article about the economics of solar panels go into the economics folder, or does it go into the renewable energy folder?
Oh, I hate that. I always end up making a shortcut in one of them.
And it's exhausting. It creates friction.
Hmm.
So what this OS utilizes is a specifically designed tag system with hierarchy, and it implements this via YAML front matter.
Okay, YAML front matter. Let's get into the technical mechanics of that, because that sounds intimidating to someone who isn't a coder.
It sounds like coding, but it's really not.
So how does YAML front matter solve the folder fatigue problem?
Think of YAML front matter as a little block of metadata hidden at the very top of your text file.
Okay. Like a sticky note attached to the file.
Perfect analogy. Instead of putting a note in a single physical location like a folder, you just assign it multiple attributes on that sticky note.
Got it.
And the system provides a dedicated management guide that dictates what these tags should be. So your solar panel article isn't trapped in one folder.
It can be in multiple places at once.
Conceptually, yes. In the front matter, it is tagged #domain/economics and #domain/energy.
Ah. So you aren't building a physical filing cabinet, you're building like a relational database.
Exactly. You are building a search engine tailored specifically to your own mind. The architecture is decided for you, so that daily friction of, where do I put this, is just eliminated.
That's a relief.
You just apply the standardized attributes and let the software retrieve it later based on those multidimensional tags.
Which seamlessly transitions into the actual physical components of this 34 kilobyte powerhouse. Because the retrieval and the structuring, they rely entirely on specific containers provided by the OS.
The templates.
Right, the templates. Looking at the source material, the system includes 13 specific note templates.
13 of them.
Yeah, and we should probably name them just to give you listening a sense of the scope here.
Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Capture, reading, literature, idea, project, weekly review, research sprint, content engine, idea incubator, daily AI ops, deep analysis, competitor scan, and finally, knowledge synthesis.
Yeah, I mean, listing them out like that really reveals that this isn't just a pack of, aesthetic page layouts.
No, it's not just pretty colors and fonts.
Right. This is a complete taxonomy of professional thought. It covers the entire life cycle of an intellectual property, literally from inception to deployment.
That's a good way to frame it, an operational pipeline.
Yeah, and to really understand the mechanical depth here, we should break these 13 templates down into those pipeline stages.
Okay, let's do it.
The first segment is what we can call the input phase, and that encompasses the capture, reading, and literature templates.
Now, for the power user listening, the distinction between a reading note and a literature note might sound like just semantics.
It does sound similar at first glance.
So let's ground this in a highly specific scenario. Let's say Imagine I am researching the impact of solid-state batteries on urban infrastructure.
Okay, good topic.
How do these three templates mechanically differ when I'm processing an article on that battery topic?
Let's walk through that exact scenario. You're browsing the web and you find a dense, like 5,000-word Bloomberg article on solid-state battery yield.
Okay, I found the article.
The first interaction is the capture template. This is your net.
Just scooping it up.
Right. Mechanically, you might use a web clipper extension that triggers this template automatically. It pulls in the URL, the author, the date, and maybe you add just a one-sentence note at the top like, looks useful for the urban grid project.
That's it.
That's it. And the status tag in the YAML front matter is automatically set by the template to #status/unread.
So the friction there is literally zero.
Exactly. It's just a routing mechanism to get it into your system safely.
Okay, so it's captured. Then what?
Then, maybe on a Sunday morning, you decide to process your inbox, you open that capture note, and you apply the reading template.
Okay, so the template changes.
Right. This template changes the whole environment. It might include specific prompts or markdown headers for your highlights. So you read the 5,000 words, you copy and paste in the crucial paragraphs about energy density, and you jot down your raw, unfiltered reactions.
Just my immediate thoughts as I'm reading.
Exactly. But here is the critical failure point for most people.
Oh, I bet I know what it is. They stop there.
They absolutely stop there.
They leave the highlights in the reading note and consider the job done. I've done that a million times.
We all have.
Yeah.
And returning to our garage analogy, that is just throwing the unboxed battery onto a shelf.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah, because the reading note is full of the author's words, not yours. It's just a proxy for the article.
Right.
To actually internalize the knowledge, you must execute the literature template. And this concept, by the way, is heavily borrowed from Niklas Luhmann's Zettelkasten method.
Oh, the slip box method.
Exactly, but modernized for these digital environments.
So what does the literature template actually force you to do mechanically?
Mechanically, you close the Bloomberg article, you close the reading note, you open a fresh literature note.
Okay, blank page.
Blank page, but with a template structure. This template is designed to demand your own synthesis. You have to write down the core thesis, that solid-state batteries will require decentralized charging grids. You have to write it in your own words.
You have to extract the signal from the noise yourself.
Exactly. And once you do, the YAML front matter is automatically updated to #status/processed.
Oh, nice.
And that note is permanently stored as an atomic unit of your own understanding, not someone else's.
I think of this pipeline kind of like a culinary prep station.
Okay, I like food analogies. Let's hear it.
So the capture template is like going to the farmer's market and buying the raw vegetables.
You're just acquiring the goods.
Right. And the reading template is bringing them home, washing them, and putting them on the counter.
Getting them ready.
But the literature template, that is the actual act of chopping them, dicing them, and placing them into those tiny little glass bowls.
The mise en place.
Exactly, the mise en place. Because when you want to actually cook the meal, like when you want to write that essay on urban infrastructure, you do not want to stop and chop the onion.
No, that ruins the flow completely. You want the ingredients ready to go.
Right.
And that analogy holds up perfectly when we move to the next grouping of templates in the OS, which is the action phase.
Which includes what? Project, research sprint, competitor scan, and content engine.
Yes. These templates shift the user from a passive consumer to an active producer.
Okay, so let's stick with the scenario. My boss asks for a report on the future of our city's grid.
Perfect. So you open the research sprint template. Now, because you already utilized the literature templates over the past month, you don't need to go back and reread 10 different 5,000-word articles.
Right, because the structural heavy lifting is already done.
Oh,
I've got my little glass bowls of chopped onions.
Exactly. The research sprint template actually includes something called data view queries, which we're definitely going to discuss in depth later. But basically, they instantly pull in all your atomic literature notes that you previously tagged with energy and solid state.
Oh, wow. So it just gathers them for you automatically?
Yes. The template structures your working environment so you can rapidly assemble those chopped ingredients into a final product.
That's amazing.
It literally changes your posture. You go from leaning back and reading to leaning forward and creating.
Which brings us to the final, and honestly to my mind, the most psychologically interesting grouping of templates, the synthesis phase.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets deep.
So this phase includes the idea incubator, deep analysis, and knowledge synthesis templates.
I want to highlight the idea incubator specifically because it's such a brilliant inclusion. It acknowledges a really fundamental reality of human cognition,
Which is what?
that ideas almost never arrive fully formed.
Oh, totally. Usually they arrive as like a fragmented thought while you're taking a shower.
Right.
Or it's some strange connection you make while you're out walking the dog. Like, you realize that a concept you learned in a biology podcast perfectly applies to this semiconductor supply chain problem you're working on.
And normally, where do those random thoughts go in a standard digital notebook?
Well, for me, they go into an Apple Note titled like New Note 47,
Yep.
or just a random text file on the desktop. And then they immediately decay. They just become orphan data that I forget about.
Exactly. The idea incubator template exists to fix that. It gives those fragile nascent connections a highly structured permanent home.
So how does it do that?
Mechanically, it provides a specific YAML status, maybe something like hash status/incubating, and it has headers that actually ask you to define the core hypothesis, even if you don't have the evidence yet.
So you're just logging the hunch.
Right. It is a dedicated space designed to hold half-formed ideas in stasis until you find the missing puzzle pieces down the road.
That is so smart. And when you finally do find those pieces, I'm assuming you run them through the knowledge synthesis template.
Yes, exactly. You use that template to weave those completely disparate threads into a totally original piece of intellectual property.
The architecture basically forces you to operate like a research laboratory rather than just a storage unit.
That's exactly the mindset shift Roca Capital is selling.
However, a skeptic looking at this, even a highly technical skeptic, they're going to point out that templates, no matter how brilliantly they are designed, are fundamentally static.
They are. They're just empty boxes.
Right. They're empty containers waiting for human labor. You still have to do the work.
True.
So the true OS element of this package, the reason they can legally and functionally claim it operates as an operating system, relies on what is injected into those templates.
And that brings us to the artificial intelligence engine.
Yes, the AI. Because without it, this is just a really nice set of folders, essentially.
The injection of AI is where this system graduates from being just a robust organizational framework to actually becoming a cognitive multiplier.
So let's dissect this AI engine. The documentation reveals the inclusion of 17 specific AI prompts.
16 of them, yeah.
And these are explicitly engineered for summarizing, extracting insights, finding connections, and synthesizing.
The 4 pillars of processing.
Right. And crucially, the system includes a plugin configuration guide that connects your local Obsidian Vault to Obsidian AI, to Copilot, and this is the big one, to LM Studio for local offline models.
Meaning it is entirely provider agnostic.
Provider agnostic, yes. But let's look at those verbs first.
Okay. The semantic choice of verbs for the 17 prompts, summarizing, extracting, connecting, synthesizing, that is not accidental.
No.
Not at all. Those verbs map directly to a hierarchical processing pipeline.
Like climbing a ladder of understanding.
Exactly. When you confront a massive data set, you have to systematically walk the data up that cognitive pipeline.
Okay, walk me through the mechanics of that pipeline. Let's stick with our solid-state battery research scenario.
Okay, let's do it. So the base layer of the pipeline is summarizing. Say you have a 100-page PDF report from the Department of Energy.
Just a massive wall of text.
Right. The cognitive load required to just understand the baseline context of that report is huge. So you run the specific summarize prompt on the document. The AI handles the heavy lifting of just establishing the baseline.
Okay, but to be fair, summary alone isn't highly valuable anymore. Like, anyone can generate a summary now with ChatGPT.
Exactly. Which is why you have to move to the next layer. Extraction.
Extraction, okay.
A summary tells you broadly what the document is about. But an extraction prompt is specifically engineered to pull out the hidden variables.
Like the actual numbers?
The numbers, the specific data points, the contradictory arguments. It mines the text for actual utility.
It finds the actionable signal in the noise.
Precisely.
Mm.
Then we reach, arguably, the most difficult cognitive task, which is connecting.
Oh, this is where it gets cool.
This is where the magic of having AI integrated directly into your vault really shines.
Because it can see everything else.
Right. You utilize a prompt that looks at the extracted insights from your solid-state battery note, and you instruct the AI to find thematic overlaps with a completely different literature note you wrote, say, 6 months ago, about autonomous vehicle legislation.
That's incredible. It acts as an indefatigable research assistant that possesses perfect recall of every single thought you have ever logged in your vault.
Yes, it doesn't forget.
And then the final stage, synthesizing. This is where the AI drafts a cohesive narrative, bridging those connections, and it outputs a completely new, unified perspective based on your own notes.
Now, I have a major mechanical pushback right here.
Let's hear it.
Why would a power user actually pay for 17 pre-written prompts?
That's a fair question.
I mean, I have access to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I have GPT-4o. I know how to type commands into a chat box. Why can't I just highlight a note in Obsidian and type, hey, summarize this and find connections to my other notes? Like, what is the actual tangible value of a pre-engineered prompt?
That is the exact question a power user should ask, and the answer lies entirely in the output format.
The output format.
Yes. Think about it. When you type a generic prompt into a web interface like ChatGPT, what does it actually give you back?
Usually it gives me like 3 paragraphs of pleasant-sounding prose, and usually with a lot of introductory fluff like, sure, I'd be happy to help you with that solid-state battery research. Exactly. It's conversational.
Yeah.
And mechanically, what do you have to do with that conversational prose to get it into your highly structured vault?
Oh, I see where you're going. I have to copy it.
Yep.
Paste it into Obsidian, delete all the AI fluff, add my markdown headers manually, create the YAML front matter block, type out the tags.
It's a massive amount of friction. It takes forever.
It really does. It defeats the purpose of automation.
Exactly. The 17 prompts included in the AI Research OS are not designed to output conversational prose at all.
They're not.
No, they are specifically engineered to output highly structured database entries. The prompt itself contains strict system instructions dictating exactly how the AI must format the markdown.
So the prompt is essentially telling the AI how to code the response.
Yes. When you run the Extract Insights prompt, it is engineered to output the data directly into the exact markdown structure required by the literature template.
Oh.
It automatically generates the correct YAML headers. It automatically applies the #status/process tag.
Yeah.
It formats the key arguments as bulleted lists under specific H2 headers.
So the Lego bricks just snap together perfectly.
Perfectly.
The output of the AI prompt is identically molded to the input requirements of the templates we talked about earlier.
Yes. It completely eliminates the formatting friction. You aren't just casually chatting with an AI, you are commanding a programmatic routine to build a component of your personal knowledge graph.
That mechanical alignment is a huge time saver. I mean, that alone is probably worth the $27.
Easily.
But we need to discuss the secondary revelation in this AI section, which is the systems provider agnosticism,
Yes.
and specifically the integration of LM Studio, because that is a game changer for a certain type of professional.
It touches on arguably the most pressing issue in modern knowledge work today: data sovereignty and privacy.
Right. By architecting the OS to support local models via LM Studio, Roca Capital allows users to process highly sensitive information without ever transmitting a single byte to a cloud server.
It never leaves your laptop.
Let's ground this technically for the listener. A lot of people use ChatGPT every day, but have maybe never even heard of LM Studio.
That's very common.
So what does running a local model actually entail, mechanically speaking?
Well, when you use a cloud provider like OpenAI or Anthropic, your data, right? Your proprietary research, your half-finished novel, your client's legal briefs.
It's transmitted over the internet to their massive server farms.
Exactly. It's processed there and the output is sent back to you. Now, for standard queries like writing a grocery list, the convenience totally outweighs the risk.
Sure, but the risk is non-zero. You are feeding your intellectual property into a machine owned by a tech conglomerate.
And for certain professionals, that risk is a hard stop.
Oh, yeah. Like if you are a corporate strategist analyzing a competitor's leaked financials.
Or a lawyer reviewing documents under strict non-disclosure agreements.
Or an academic working with pre-publication data. Uploading that text to ChatGPT is a severe security violation.
You could literally lose your job.
Or your entire competitive advantage.
Exactly. And that is where LM Studio solves this hardware limitation.
So what is it?
It is a piece of software you install on your own computer, and it allows you to download open-source large language models like Meta's Llama 3 or Mistral.
So you just download the AI itself?
Yes, often in what's called a quantized format, meaning they are compressed to run efficiently on consumer hardware, like a standard MacBook with unified memory.
That is mind-blowing. So the brain actually lives on my laptop.
Entirely on your hard drive. When you highlight that confidential legal brief in your Obsidian vault and you trigger one of those 17 AI prompts, the processing happens locally on your machine's CPU and GPU.
Wait, so I could physically disconnect my Wi-Fi router?
You could go completely offline.
And the AI would still flawlessly extract the insights and format the markdown.
Yes, 100%.
That is a profound capability. The OS essentially acts as a secure, air-gapped bridge.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
It gives you the professional workflow, the structured templates, the formatting prompts, and then leaves the choice of the computational engine entirely up to your own security requirements.
It guarantees absolute data sovereignty. You own the notes, you own the structural architecture, and if you utilize LM Studio, you literally own the processing hardware.
Wow. Okay, but this brings us to a really critical operational challenge.
Which is?
Volume. If a user actually implements this, like if they are rigorously using the 13 templates, running the 17 AI prompts, and churning out massive amounts of highly structured, deeply synthesized markdown files.
They're going to generate a lot of content.
How do they manage the sheer volume of output? I mean, a factory producing 1,000 cars a day is useless if all the cars are just piling up in the parking lot.
Right. Gridlock.
You need logistics, you need oversight.
And the system will absolutely collapse under its own weight without a centralized command structure.
So what's the solution?
That is why the fourth pillar of this OS is entirely dedicated to the command center, specifically utilizing dynamic dashboards.
Okay, let's look at the documentation here. It says the OS includes 2 primary dynamic dashboards, the Research Hub and the weekly review.
Yes, those are the main ones.
And it says these are powered by DataView queries. It also mentions the OS leverages free plugins, DataView, Templater, Obsidian AI, and includes a full setup guide with troubleshooting alongside SAML research notes.
That DataView plugin is the linchpin of the whole thing. To really grasp the mechanical power of the command center, we must deeply analyze what DataView actually does to a markdown environment.
Okay, because to the uninitiated, Obsidian is literally just a folder of .txt files on your hard drive.
Exactly.
So how does a plain text file function as a dynamic dashboard? That seems impossible.
DataView is a community plugin that initiates a massive paradigm shift. It transforms a static folder of text files into a live relational database.
Oh, like SQL.
Very similar. You can query your own notes using a syntax that's very close to SQL.
Okay, break down the mechanics of a DataView query for us. Give me an example.
Let's return to our solid-state battery research. Say, over the month, you've captured 50 articles, you've read 20 of them, and you've turned 10 into actual literature notes.
Okay, so I have a lot of different statuses floating around.
Exactly. In a standard system, tracking the status of all 50 of those notes requires manual clicking, opening folders, and relying on your own memory.
It's the flashlight in the pitch-black garage again.
Exactly. But DataView allows you to write a block of code directly into a note. Let's call this note your Research Hub.
Okay.
The code essentially commands the vault. You write something like tablefile.mtime, status from #domain/energy, where status equals unread, sortfile.time DESC.
Okay, let me translate that for the non-coders listening, meaning, show me a table of all the notes tagged energy that currently have the status unread, and sort them by the date I created them.
Perfect translation. And instantly, a perfectly formatted table renders right there on your screen.
Okay, that's cool.
But the true brilliance is that it is fully dynamic.
What do you mean by dynamic?
If you open one of those unread notes from the table, you read it, and you change that YAML front matter status to #status/processed.
Yeah.
The very next time you look at your Research Hub dashboard, that note has completely vanished from the table.
Wait, really? It updates in real time?
In real time, based purely on the metadata.
That is incredible. The dashboard is constantly parsing the background metadata of your entire vault.
Surfacing only the actionable items dictated by your queries.
I pictured this as like the heads-up display, the HUD inside a modern fighter jet.
Oh, I love that imagery.
Right, because when a pilot is flying at Mach 2, there are tens of thousands of data points being generated by the aircraft.
Right. Engine thermals, radar pings.
Fuel flow rates, atmospheric pressure. If the pilot had to look at a raw spreadsheet of all that data while dogfighting, they would crash instantly.
Total sensory overload.
But the HUD filters out all the noise. It projects only the altitude, the speed, and the target lock directly onto the glass.
Just what matters.
It surfaces only what requires action in that exact millisecond.
And that is exactly what the Research Hub dashboard is. It is your intellectual HUD.
Wow.
You might possess 10,000 notes in your vault, but when you open the hub, you don't see the noise.
You don't see the 9,995 notes you don't need.
Right. You see a data view table of the 5 articles you explicitly need to read today. You see a table of the 3 AI-extracted summaries waiting to be synthesized. It filters your digital life down to your immediate operational targets.
It effectively removes the entire cognitive burden of remembering what you were supposed to do next.
Which frees up your brain to actually do the deep work.
But what about the second dashboard they mentioned, the weekly review?
The weekly review.
I'll be honest, the term weekly review sounds a bit like tedious corporate bureaucracy to me.
It does sound like a Monday morning meeting.
Yeah. Why dedicate an entire separate dashboard to it?
Because entropy is the default state of any system.
Entropy. Things naturally fall apart.
Exactly. You can possess the most beautifully designed templates and the absolute most powerful AI prompts, but if you do not actively apply energy to maintain the system, it will degrade right back into chaos.
The garage gets messy again.
Always. The weekly review is the mechanism that forces systemic maintenance.
So how does the dashboard mechanically enforce that maintenance?
The data view queries embedded in the weekly review dashboard are specifically designed to catch orphan data.
Orphan data. Give me an example.
For example, it might contain a query that surfaces any note created in the last 7 days that is still tagged #status/incubating.
So it pulls up those fragile shower thoughts we talked about earlier.
Yes, it forces you to look at them and make a decision.
Like, have you found the missing puzzle piece for this idea yet?
Right. If yes, move it to knowledge synthesis. If no, leave it incubating. Or it might have another query that shows you cache notes older than 14 days.
Oh, calling out my procrastination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It forces you to acknowledge that you are honestly never going to read that article and gives you permission to just delete it.
It's basically an automated accountability partner.
That's exactly what it is.
It ensures the pipes of your workflow system don't get clogged up with unprocessed data. And, I think it's highly relevant that the documentation emphasizes the inclusion of sample research notes and a full setup guide with troubleshooting.
That bridges the implementation gap, because a blank data view query block is incredibly intimidating if you don't know the syntax.
Oh, absolutely. If I just saw an empty code block, I'd probably quit right there.
Most people would.
But by providing fully populated sample notes, Roca Capital is basically allowing the user to reverse engineer the success.
Exactly. You can see exactly how the YAML front matter links to the data view query in the dashboard.
You don't have to build the engine from scratch. You just have to study the schematic and turn the key.
It provides the necessary guardrails to prevent the user from abandoning the architecture during that initial kind of steep learning curve.
Makes total sense. So let's recap where we are. We have established the architectural foundation.
The 13 cognitive buckets.
Right. We have 17 AI prompts acting as the processing engine, functioning locally or in the cloud.
Yep.
And we have dynamic data view dashboards serving as the command HUD.
All working together.
Now, this intense level of structuring leads directly to the most audacious claim in the entire document.
This is where it gets slightly sci-fi, but very real.
The ultimate horizon this system is steering the user towards. The overarching value proposition of the whole thing.
Yeah, the document ends with this really dramatic statement.
Let me quote it directly. It says, if you are serious about building any AI agent, starting with an Obsidian OS is how the professionals do it.
It is a massive pivot in perspective.
It really is, because it elevates the entire conversation from just, how to take better notes.
How to architect the training data for your digital clone.
Digital clone,
Yeah.
That's exactly what it feels like. But for a lot of people, the term AI agent still sounds like theoretical science fiction.
It does, but it's happening right now.
So what distinguishes an AI agent from the standard ChatGPT interface we all use today?
Think about it like this. When you interact with a standard large language model today, you are essentially consulting an oracle.
An oracle with all the internet's knowledge.
Right. It possesses an unfathomably massive database of generalized human knowledge, but it has absolutely zero context about you.
None.
It doesn't know your business model. It doesn't know your personal writing cadence.
And it certainly doesn't know the private research I conducted last week.
Exactly. It's a brilliant stranger.
A brilliant stranger. I like that.
An AI agent, conversely, is an autonomous or semi-autonomous entity designed to execute tasks, make decisions, and generate outputs based entirely on your specific context.
And how does it get that context?
It relies on technology called RAG, R-A-G, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation.
RAG. Okay, let's break down RAG mechanically. How does that work?
In a RAG system, before the AI answers your prompt, it doesn't just guess. It first searches a designated database of your private information.
So it searches my Obsidian vault.
Exactly. It retrieves the relevant documents, and it uses those specific documents to ground its answer. It forces the AI to base its logic on your specific data, not just its generalized training from the internet.
So if I ask my AI agent to write a newsletter about solid-state batteries, it doesn't just hallucinate based on Wikipedia.
Yo.
It pulls my specific literature notes and my knowledge synthesis notes, and it writes the newsletter using my actual thoughts and my conclusions.
Precisely. It sounds like you. But here is the mechanical bottleneck, and this is the exact reason Roca Capital makes that bold claim.
What's the bottleneck?
An AI agent utilizing RAD is entirely dependent on the quality of the underlying database.
Garbage in, garbage out.
The fundamental law of computer science.
It always comes back to that.
If you point an AI agent at the messy garage, a hard drive full of unformatted text files, randomly named PDFs, and contextless bookmarks, the retrieval process fails completely.
Because it doesn't know what it's looking at.
Right. The agent pulls irrelevant data, it gets confused by the lack of metadata, and it hallucinates. It produces garbage because its memory is garbage.
The unstructured data literally poisons the agent's reasoning.
Exactly. The professionals in the industry know that the algorithm itself is no longer the bottleneck in AI development.
It's not.
No. The bottleneck is pristine, highly structured, meticulously tagged training data.
And suddenly, the entire AI research OS architecture makes complete sense.
It all clicks together.
Every single time you utilize the literature template to distill an article.
Yeah.
Every time you use the AI prompt to automatically inject the correct YAML front matter.
Exactly.
Every time you review your tags in the data view dashboard. You aren't just organizing your current project for tomorrow.
No, you are systematically formatting your intellectual property into a machine-readable format.
You are curating the database that will eventually serve as the memory architecture for your personal AI agent.
You are future-proofing your knowledge base so that when you are ready to deploy a digital clone, the structured data is already sitting there waiting to be ingested.
You are building the track before the train even arrives.
That's the perfect analogy.
And this circles back to the economic reality of this product, which is just vital to analyze, because we are discussing the foundational architecture for personalized AI agents, the elimination of digital entropy, and a professional-grade workflow pipeline.
It's a massive amount of utility.
And the barrier to entry is a $27 one-time purchase.
Yeah, in the current software ecosystem, where users are experiencing just profound subscription fatigue.
So much fatigue.
Offering a perpetual license for a foundational architecture is a distinct, undeniable structural advantage.
It genuinely is. I mean, $27 is literally the equivalent of 1 month of a premium AI subscription elsewhere.
Right. You rent a tool for 30 days, and then you have nothing to show for it when you stop paying.
Exactly. Here, you are acquiring a permanent asset. You download the 34 kilobyte file via Gumroad, you install it, and you own the infrastructure forever.
No recurring credit card charges.
No arbitrary price hikes from the developer. And they even offer a 7-day safety net to test the mechanics and get your money back if it doesn't click.
It fundamentally reframes the purchase. You aren't buying an app. You are investing in personal infrastructure.
It allows the user to take absolute ownership of their digital environment.
Which is rare these days.
It really is. But I think the final barrier for the listener might just be a technical one.
Okay, let's address that.
Because we have discussed YAML front matter, data view queries, Arch pipelines, and local LLMs running on quantized hardware.
It sounds like a lot of jargon.
It does. Does a user need to possess a background in computer science to actually operate this OS day to day?
That's a valid concern. The architecture is absolutely complex beneath the surface, but the daily operation is highly democratized.
Meaning what, exactly?
The user does not need to know how to actually write a data view query or code an AI prompt. The entire premise of the OS is that the engineering has already been done for them.
Oh, so it's plug and play.
Yes. The 13 templates are pre-configured. The 17 AI prompts are pre-written and ready to execute. The dashboards are ready to render out of the box.
And the setup guide?
The setup guide bridges the gap. It takes a non-technical knowledge worker and walks them step by step into operating a professional-grade system.
So you don't have to know how to build the fighter jet.
No.
You just need to know how to read the HUD.
Exactly. The heavy lifting is structural, Not programmatic. You just follow the workflow.
That makes it a lot more approachable.
It really does.
So wrapping this up, the overarching theme of this deep dive has really been the incredible leverage generated by imposing structure on chaos.
Leverage is the key word.
Right. The AI Research OS for Obsidian by Roca Capital proves that a 34.7 kilobyte text file can possess more operational power than a bloated piece of enterprise software.
And simply because of how it organizes data.
It forces the user out of the messy garage and into the research laboratory.
Utilizing those structured templates, the engineered AI prompts, and the dynamic dashboards to build a compounding asset over time.
It takes the scattered fragments of your digital life and mechanically forges them into a structured knowledge base, perfectly primed for the future of AI agent integration.
It essentially prepares your intellectual legacy for the next era of computing.
Which brings me to a final mechanical question for you listening to consider as we close this out.
Leave them with something to think about.
We talked about how an AI agent relies entirely on the structure of the data it is fed, right?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. So think about your current digital environment right now.
Be honest with yourself.
Yeah. Look at the folders on your desktop, the 50 tabs open in your browser right now, the random untitled notes on your phone. If a personalized AI agent were to ingest your entire digital footprint right this second, how severely would it hallucinate? Would it actually understand your brilliance? Or would it be hopelessly confused by your lack of structure? If formatting your data is the prerequisite for leveraging the future of AI, what is the real opportunity cost of leaving your knowledge scattered for one more day?